Hello, this is Dave in Toronto with Keith in New
New
Zealand.
Zealand,
Which part of New
Tauranga,
Zealand are you?
Tauranga, Bay
Oh,
of
wow.
Plenty.
A Bay of Plenty, and it's a beautiful place there. And if you can see his sky, that's what it's really like. If you see my sky, that's like what I'm
Yeah.
imagining myself in Indonesia. The purple guy, how are you?
Good, thanks, Dave.
It has been a wonderful honor to have a chat with you and to continue this chat with you. And so we were talking a little bit about the grieving cycle. And this is a cycle that is pretty famous in psychology and healing. And it goes from this idea of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And my condolences for your healing right now and the passing of your beloved.
Thanks,
And
Dave.
I'm wondering, what are you going through right now, and what have been some of the steps that you've been experiencing in the last week, and what you might want to share to assist people in the transition into acceptance?
Thank you, Dave. I think the first thing I'd like to start and talk into is an encouragement for people to start exploring themselves and their inner world well before they get to the place that I got to. All right. I've been asked often, how come 3 days later you seem fine and you're excited, and you know how, and that's because prior to Josephine's passing, a long prior, we her and I spent a lot of time in personal development, understanding our fears and understanding our needs to connect and all of these things. So when her illness became obvious, we had this beautiful opportunity where she chose to follow a treatment protocol that was different to normal. It's not abnormal. There's a lot of people doing it, but it's still on the edge. And she wanted to do that for herself. And right there in that moment is when the acceptance started for me. She had a cancer. It was unseen until when it appeared, it bloomed. It wasn't just a little piece. It was fully fledged. So she wasn't starting from a small place. She was starting from an immense place. And the medical model was offering very little opportunity. So, and some of those opportunities were not ones that she wanted to accept. So I got that opportunity right there to love and accept and celebrate someone's choice that might have actually been opposite to my own. And I kind of would sum that up as she believes in this deeply. It's incredibly important to her. It's a celebration of who she is and her belief systems and her way of choosing life. And I can either choose to join her on that journey and be there with her, no matter what outcome. All right, hopefully a positive one, but whatever outcome. Or I could choose not to, and I could feel burdened and resentful and all of those other things. So I think I did most of my acceptance right at the beginning.
Right.
All right. And from that, when she passed, there was a part of me that was really, it wasn't anger, it was sadness. It was like, oh, I thought we'd turn the corner. Oh, I had these plans and these futures that we'd talked about. And it was like, oh, that would have been so good. And I'd have loved to share with those things with her. And it was not to be. And so I had the opportunity to be beside her when she was passing. And they let me into the hospital at the last minute. I had to go into isolation. She had been checked for COVID, so because I came out, that they kind of said, well, she's clear, so you're probably clear because you've been living together in a bus. So we'll put you into a separate, isolated room, and you can be with her for as long as whatever. And they put a bed in and all that sort of stuff for me. So Dave, it's kind of like, I watched her pain. I watched her struggle for breath. I watched her hang on. And in those moments, you know, I found coming out of me, it was like, go, darling, go. Go. Why would I want anyone to be in that pain because I wanted to hang on to them? You know, and so it was like, we're here now. Our choices are limited, you know, due to a variety of things. You've already chosen quality rather than quantity of life. You've already chosen non-resuscitation because the chance of recovery after resuscitation is worse than you almost are. So I have to honor those choices too. So I was there, you know, basically saying, well, this is my beloved and these are her choices, Dave. Mm-hmm. So when she left, there was deep sadness that it was so fast. There was deep sadness that some of our dreams were not going to be able to be fulfilled in that way. And there was great relief and great celebration. It was, her pain had gone, her body that let her down, or not let her down, and this is where she got to, you know, she understood from her own thing and shared with me all the things that were coming up with her about suppressed emotions that she buried into her body and unresolved stuff that she carried. And so she didn't see cancer as something that happened to her. She didn't get it from the water and she didn't get it from the food. She got it from a suppressed energy system, a suppressed biological energetic system of which she was the major developer or proponent of it. Mm-hmm. And so I can share, I won't share today, but I can share the moment her soul got what it was here for.
Wow.
I was lying beside her at the time. She had been in crying and pain, and her word was, surrender does not mean giving up.
Absolutely.
But for her, that was a big part. And so she surrendered her fight to survive and to control her environment. And in that moment, all her pain went.
I can just imagine this just whoosh.
It was just like, whoof, and her pain went. Her face softened. She looked 25 years younger. Wow. She burst into tears. She cried with bliss. She said words like, oh my gosh, look at that. Wow. Shit. Oh my God, I never knew. That's so wonderful. Why didn't I choose this before? It was a big moment. Beautiful. You'll probably hear it in my voice. It was a very big moment.
Absolutely.
And she fell asleep. Mm-hmm. And when she woke up, I'm lying there for an hour, not wanting to disturb her. And I had my own journey that, oh, wow, we turned the corner, you know, celebration. Mm. And so I'm now thinking about me. I was celebrating her, but I'm now back to me. We've done it, you know, or she's done it, and we're off now. And as she woke back, within 2 minutes, her frown came back on her, you know, she just moved back softly, but similar, back to much of the mindset that she had and the energetic state she was in. And that was soul torturing to watch that. And it was just soon after that, that same day, she said, we need help. And within 24 hours, she was in hospital, and within 3 days later, she passed. And so there was no need to be angry about anything really for me. And there was no need to deny anything. What a journey, Dave. You know, what an opportunity to live so intimately and so connected with someone, and for them to be so vulnerable and to share and support those moments. It's like, and, you know, you mentioned bargaining. Well, right at the line, I was talking to spirit, God, source, you know, what the fuck what can I do? You know, if I've got any power, I want to give it. And all I got was this, look, it's got nothing to do with you. And so, and when she passed, Dave, she just disappeared. And she came back that night. I had my Tuesday night group. She passed at 5:40. I was online at 7:30 with my normal Tuesday night group, which she loved. And that was healing for the group members. But I was together enough and clear enough to hold space for them. And we brought Josephine in, and she said goodbye to everyone in the group. The next day, we head off on the Thursday. We cremated her body. You saw my little testimonial. I had to sit outside the place and lean against a tree. It was all closed up because of COVID. So, David, it's, you know, there was a little bit of bargaining on just prior to going, but not much. And the depression part from that you're talking about, I could see how people fall into depression, and I've met some people who do, but I think it's the dreams that they had that depress them, that the fact that they're not there anymore. And, you know, I laugh. Josephine had lost a bit of clothing that she'd got sent by courier. And prior to her passing, it was an everyday conversation, you know, and the courier company finally found it. It got lost. And I picked it up yesterday, and I walked into the bus with it, and I felt myself go, "Hey, darling, you know, I finally found it." And it was like, oh, I've now got to put it in the Salvation Army basket. All right, it's gone. So I think really, Dave, you know, by the time she passed, I was very close to the acceptance stage, if not well past that. And so gratitude is probably where I ended up very quickly. But there's some interesting things. I want to share this moment. You know, I've got this thing about the pathways, and I love it. Well, I want to share this for you, and you can edit this out of the recording if you want to. Josephine chose to go to hospital after 7 months of refusing to go anywhere near the hospital.
Right.
She chose to go to the hospital on her vision day. The day of week where her energy is mainly focused on vision. So she had a new vision and allowed her to go to hospital.
Right.
And she passed on her choice day.
Beautiful.
So I sat there and went, well, she had a new vision.
Yep.
All right. It was straight after she had the vision in her meditation and in her thing. So she saw a whole new world. She went, oh, that's what I want. Bye-bye. Take me to hospital, look after the body. We'll just check that the body won't be able to come back from where it is. No, it's too far gone. So adios, amigo, sort of thing. No disrespect, but it was so beautiful. And just to show you how ironic it was, she went to hospital on my connection day. And I had to leave her in the car park and disconnect with her because I couldn't go into the hospital.
Right.
So I had to disconnect from her and reconnect to myself on my connection day in the car park. And she passed on my heart day.
Well, now that you got me a little bit juicy.
Sorry, Dave.
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because, again, we talk about sadness, yet it's the question that I have probably that's really about what's happening right now with COVID. There's so many people that are passing over in isolation. Their family members can't be with them. Is there something you could share that would just make it a little more compassionate for family members who can't be with their beloveds? The seniors, the elderly who are dying alone.
I could, Dave, but I'd have to be...
Okay.
I could, but I'd have to be a little bit out of integrity.
Okay. Why
so
that?
I hope I can say it another way.
Oh, why do you feel you have to be out of integrity?
Because I see this as a beautiful opportunity to show to our beloveds and our beloved that the world, so many people in the world are alone, Dave.
Absolutely. Well, see, I have a knowingness that we die alone. Like, even if you have all your family around you, my belief is you die alone. So that's my belief. Yet it's this
Yes.
compassion that my mom, whose husband was just in the hospital, like, for her not to be with him when he's dying, that's like, wow, so much of an awakening for her as much as anything else. Yet, and I hear what you're saying, that, like, I want to hear a little bit more what you want to say, please.
Okay. Okay, Dave. Look, I do have compassion and have great empathy for people who are living their life so connected to another person that when that person dies, it's like they've lost something of themselves.
Mhm.
I do understand that.
Right.
And Josephine and I had that depth of connection. And without all the work that I'd done around personal development and understanding this whole thing we're talking about, um, it would have been like I'd lost an arm or a leg or my life had stopped and all of these things. So I'm not being insensitive to that.
No, you're not.
But you precursored the question with COVID-19.
Mm,
And to me, it's a huge awakening for the entire world.
absolutely.
It's a time out.
A
All
reset.
right. It's a reset. And focusing on the reset, it's like, okay, so what's it showing us? It's showing us that many ways we're living and much of the world is not sustainable, and maybe we're ready for dialogue, and hopefully many couples have had new dialogues, and children have reconnected, and people have, they can work from home and they don't have to leave their children so much, and so there's a whole opportunity here for an expansive view. And if I may, as humanity, as a collective consciousness, is still focused in the past. We still operate much from our shadow body.
Yes.
We still operate much from our denial, which is why when people die, they first thing is, well, it's not how I want it to be. And so, come back. They're not really dead. I can't change my thing. So they go through denial, and then they blame somebody in the anger. And why isn't it the way I want it to be? And then they want to sort of sell their soul to go back to the way it was.
Right.
And then they get depressed when they realize their powerlessness. They're powerless to change their reality because they're trying to fight their reality. They're trying to stay stable. They're trying to stay steady. They're trying to stay the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you precursed um, your question with COVID, David, to me, we've been given by a little virus, by God, by source, by collective. We all collectively agreed to stop. How's the world ever come together like this on one thing ever before? We don't do it on age. We don't do it on all the other challenges we have in the world, but we've done it here, and we've stopped collectively. We've all said, whoa. So I could almost say that, what if it's not a virus that's infecting us? Maybe it's our shadow side that's
Mm-hmm.
been affecting us for years. And it causes our greed and our anger and our frustration and our denial of the planet's rights to live, and our denial of the animal kingdom and all of these things. And that, some people are now working out how to go back to where they were before they started.
Mm-hmm.
Before we locked down, some people are trying to maximize this for their financial benefit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And some are saying, hey, I actually enjoyed hanging out with my kids.
Absolutely.
And so I think this whole process that you asked me to talk about compassion, I have your steps for the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the world's going through these steps in this reset.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got great compassion for all of us to see how we collectively reshape our world or fight to hold on to the old world.
Yes.
When we come out of lockdown.
Right.
And that will have bigger impact on the world than my personal journey.
Well, your personal journey is inspiring, and it's compassionate, and I love the compassion and the unconditional love and the expression and the invitation that there are other ways to proceed than perhaps the reactive, the wounded, the blame mentality that might be triggered in the experience of someone, a beloved passing, moving on. And so,
We have, David, just to finish, we have a society model that holds on to the past.
yes, absolutely.
Whatever, and there's some
Sure.
great things in the past.
Sure.
But as someone once said to me a little while ago, do you really want as your main car a Model A? And I said, no, I'd want it in my investment portfolio, but not in my garage.
Right.
And I think many of us are still attached too much to the past, so that we become uncomfortable with change.
Absolutely. There is an expression, let go, let God. It's probably easier to say than to do, yet that is a component that it sounds like you've allowed yourself to really be present with a breath, and even the extension and expiration of a breath, knowing that there is another breath, and that breath is what keeps you alive.
Yeah. There was one thing Josephine said, well, we had a conversation right at the beginning. I said, if you choose this path, it's on the edge. And she said, yep. She said, but I'm going to walk my truth. And I said, yeah, but are you prepared to put your life on the line for your truth? She looked at me like I was stupid. She said, how else is there to live?
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Said,
Thank you very much. Namaste.
My
All
pleasure,
the best.
Dave.
Blessings.